President Donald Trump is growing increasingly frustrated with the very Supreme Court justices he once handpicked to solidify a conservative legacy. According to individuals familiar with private conversations inside the White House, Trump has expressed disappointment behind closed doors, especially with Justice Amy Coney Barrett, his most recent and once celebrated nominee to the nation's highest court. This dissatisfaction hasn't been limited to just one justice. President Trump has reportedly voiced similar concerns about Justices Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh, both of whom were nominated by him during his first term in office. Sources say these grievances have been simmering for over a year, with multiple decisions triggering the president's ire. Much of the frustration appears to stem from what Trump sees as a betrayal of conservative values, a deviation from the judicial philosophy these judges promised when they were being considered for the bench. Influential conservative allies have only intensified this sentiment, telling the president that Barrett has proven to be soft and ideologically inconsistent compared to how she portrayed herself in pre-nomination interviews. It's not about one case or one ruling, explained a senior White House official. There have been several moments that have genuinely upset him. In a public statement, the administration clarified the president's stance, saying, President Trump will always uphold the authority of the U.S. Supreme Court. Unlike Democrats, who are eager to manipulate the court by expanding its size, President Trump respects the institution, even if he occasionally disagrees with some of its rulings. Despite this official reassurance, Trump's private disappointment has been growing more vocal, especially as a number of court decisions have gone against him. In one notable case last week, a 3-judge panel struck down his proposed tariff plan. Trump didn't hold back, lashing out not only at the ruling, but also at Leonard Leo, a key figure in the conservative legal movement and a major influence in the president's original judge selections. In a post on his Truth Social platform, Trump slammed Leo as a real sleazebag and a bad person who probably hates America. Trump's dissatisfaction with Barrett actually predates some of these recent rulings. Back in March, her vote against his plan to freeze nearly $2 billion in foreign aid left many conservatives stunned. The backlash was immediate and brutal. One right-wing commentator mocked her as a rattled law professor with her head up her A***, while others flooded social media with insults, labeling her a DI hire and even calling her evil. That wasn't the only flashpoint. Earlier in the year, Barrett joined Chief Justice John Roberts and the court's liberal justices in allowing a New York court to proceed with sentencing President Trump in the controversial hush money case. While Trump publicly dismissed the decision as fair, insiders revealed he was deeply frustrated behind the scenes. The most recent escalation came just last month. In a high-profile case debating whether a Catholic charter school in Oklahoma was eligible for public funding, the court ended in a 4-4 deadlock, a result that left the lower court's ruling against the school in place. The reason? Justice Barrett recused herself due to prior connections with the attorneys involved. Her absence, in the eyes of Trump and his allies, cost him a crucial ideological victory. What once seemed like a tight alliance between Trump and his judicial appointees has now become a source of growing tension. The president, once confident in reshaping the court to mirror his conservative vision, now finds himself questioning the very judges he elevated to the nation's most powerful bench. With several major decisions looming in the months ahead, the divide between President Trump and the Supreme Court may continue to widen, and it's raising a critical question. Can Trump truly rely on the legacy he built, or is the court charting its own course? President Donald Trump, now serving his second term, is increasingly at odds with several of the justices he once proudly nominated to the U.S. Supreme Court, particularly Justice Amy Coney Barrett, the conservative jurist he placed on the bench in 2020 with the hope of cementing a loyal ideological majority. Privately, Trump has voiced sharp disappointment with Barrett's decisions over the past year. His frustration, sources say, extends beyond Barrett to include Justices Brett Kavanaugh and Neil Gorsuch, though Barrett remains the main focus of his discontent. According to insiders, Trump believes she has drifted from the conservative values she once vowed to uphold. The president's growing unease has reportedly been fueled by close allies, including legal figures on the right, who have described Barrett as weak and too independent-minded. They argue she has made decisions that are out of sync with the constitutionalist approach she championed during her nomination process. And while Trump has kept his criticism behind closed doors, that doesn't mean he hasn't considered the situation carefully. According to those in his circle, Trump has even wondered aloud whether threats to Barrett's family may have affected her rulings. Earlier this year, Barrett's sister received a bomb threat at her home in Charleston, South Carolina, a disturbing event that law enforcement took seriously. The president, concerned for her safety, has asked advisors whether enhanced security might help Barrett feel more secure and more firmly align with her original judicial philosophy. Still, despite his displeasure, Trump has resisted any public attacks. After Barrett voted against his plan to cut nearly $2 billion in foreign aid in March, Trump refused to rebuke her in front of reporters. "She's a very good woman," he said at the time. "She's very smart, and I don't know about people attacking her. I really don't know." A senior White House official emphasized that Trump continues to hold the court in high regard. "He truly respects the Supreme Court," the official said. "He's never wanted to burn bridges with the justices he appointed. His criticism has always been broader, about the court's direction, not about individuals." Conservatives outside the White House, however, have not been so restrained. Some have harshly condemned Barrett's decision to recuse herself from a recent high-profile case involving a Catholic charter school in Oklahoma. Her withdrawal resulted in a 4-4 split, which upheld a lower court ruling that denied taxpayer funding to the school. Critics argued that her recusal was unnecessary and harmful. "It seems this goes beyond her duty to recuse," said one prominent conservative legal voice. If other justices begin following this pattern, the long-term consequences could be damaging. But many of Barrett's critics overlook an important truth. She remains, statistically, one of the most conservative justices on the court. In fact, during the last term, Barrett voted in line with Justices Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito, the court's most conservative voices, more than 80% of the time. She has also supported several of Trump's key policy victories, including rulings that upheld his ban on transgender individuals in the military, allowed him to rescind protections for Venezuelan migrants, removed independent agency board members, and slashed millions in education funding. Barrett, a former law professor and federal appellate judge, is even set to publish a book this coming September, further cementing her presence as a major intellectual force on the court. While her alignment with conservatives is strong, she has also shown signs of judicial independence. In moments of constitutional tension, she has occasionally taken a more centrist or nuanced approach, particularly in cases involving presidential power. For instance, during historic arguments last year over whether President Trump should receive broad immunity from criminal prosecution, Barrett emerged as a key voice in the debate. She directly challenged Trump's legal team, pressing them to clarify that a president's private actions should not be shielded from legal accountability. Yet when the decision was ultimately released in July, she sided with a conservative majority to grant Trump partial immunity, reinforcing that while she may ask hard questions, she still generally aligns with her conservative peers in major rulings. So while President Trump's frustration may be real, the bigger picture suggests that Justice Barrett remains a powerful, if sometimes unpredictable, ally of the conservative movement. Her record, while not flawless in the eyes of hardliners, reflects deep constitutional commitment and occasional independence. The deeper story may not be about betrayal, but about expectations. Trump built a Supreme Court that he hoped would stand firmly with his vision, but even among ideological allies, the institution's independence remains intact. And as key rulings loom in the months ahead, one thing is clear. All eyes, including President Trump's, will be on Justice Barrett.